For more than 150 years, Trinity University has celebrated human inquiry. Our innovative curriculum is rooted in a distinctive blend of the liberal arts and sciences. Students and faculty hone creative curiosity by answering questions and questioning answers. In a supportive, interdisciplinary environment, they seek ways to build bridges and make connections. And with intentional meaning and purpose, they are driven by a sense of duty to themselves and to the world. Add in opportunities for undergraduate research, experiential learning, and nationally recognized pre-professional programs in business, communication, healthcare, education, and entrepreneurship, you get the full Trinity experience. The liberal arts plus. And while this experience may end with a Trinity degree, it's just the beginning of a lifetime of inspired exploration and perpetual discovery.
Hello there, baseball fans. We were excited to bring you some 10 a.m. baseball, but it looks like we will now officially begin at 11 a.m. We are waiting on the umpires to arrive, and they are quite an important part of a baseball game, so we need them, and we will have them at 11 a.m. We will be right here with you, still time to get your breakfast tacos, some coffee, and join us right here on Tiger Network. Once again, 11 a.m. first pitch.
For more than 150 years, Trinity University has celebrated human inquiry. Our innovative curriculum is rooted in a distinctive blend of the liberal arts and sciences. Students and faculty hone creative curiosity by answering questions and questioning answers. In a supportive, interdisciplinary environment, they seek ways to build bridges and make connections. And with intentional meaning and purpose, they are driven by a sense of duty to themselves and to the world. Add in opportunities for undergraduate research, experiential learning, and nationally recognized pre-professional programs in business, communication, healthcare, education, and entrepreneurship, you get the full Trinity experience. The liberal arts plus. And while this experience may end with a Trinity degree, it's just the beginning of a lifetime of inspired exploration and perpetual discovery.
Rise and shine, baseball fans. We hope you got your breakfast tacos and some coffee because it is finally time for some Sunday morning baseball. It is a deciding Game 3 between the Babson Beavers and your number 15 Trinity Tigers. I'm Brian Yanselson, thrilled to be back with you this afternoon with Luke Terry. Luke, quite the offensive explosion yesterday for both sides.
Yeah, Brian, well, we certainly missed you in that one, and you'll have a lot to be caught up on here today. But so far, 2 games into this series, I think it's exactly what we expected out of these two sides. A couple of one-run games that both went both ways, I guess. And now here we are, Sunday morning, excited for this rubber match between these two really evenly matched competitors. And for the Tigers, you see the lineup there. But behind that, hidden a little bit, is Samuel Conti, who I think both of us are incredibly excited to watch. The big left-hander up from the Northeast, excited certainly to compete against some guys from his home area today.
That's right. Sammy Conti making his first home start of the year. Got a win last time out back in Birmingham against WashU. And we'll take you through that outing as things get going, but we will run you through the visiting Beavers starting lineup. Leading off, and makes plenty of sense after the game he had yesterday, is center fielder Patrick Manning. Batting second, third baseman Tanner Santos. Batting third, second baseman Thomas Lapham. At cleanup, first baseman Josh Yellen. Batting fifth, the designated hitter Michael Cook. Batting sixth, the right fielder Sean Barichka. Batting seventh in left field, getting the start today, Jackson Kelly. Behind the plate, batting eighth, Alex Reynolds. And going down from the leadoff spot to number 9, the shortstop, Jack Perkle. And that is not a hallucination on your screen. The sun is out in San Antonio. First time since about Tuesday, I'd say, that we have the sun out, no clouds, and the temperature is rapidly rising into the 50s, maybe the 60s. But we are officially underway here with a called strike on the outside corner in Game 3 between the Beavers and the Tigers.
Yeah, Brian, and as you mentioned in your open, Manning steps into the box to lead off the day for the Beavers. What an incredible output he had yesterday, finishing 4 for 5, and he had a big 3-run shot in the top of the 9th inning that cut the Tigers' lead in half and really helped this Babson side get back into things. But it's going to be a tall task for him today, facing off against the lefty and Sammy Conti, who has the matchup advantage right here, throwing lefty against lefty in the batter's box.
And he's up in the count here, 1-2. That delivery just up and away. So the count even up now, 2-2. But that line, a career high for Manning, both in hits and runs batted in. So he earns himself a spot atop the lineup. And he pops this one up towards right field. Schaub coming in. Second baseman also going out there, and that will be who retires the out. Tanner Haney getting the start over there. First man retired, and up comes Tanner Santos.
Yeah, and a good job from Conti to start off the day. Really tough task for him as well to start off against the hottest hitter in the opposing lineup, but did a really nice job to get ahead early in that count. Then didn't really give Manning anything over the heart of the plate, forced him to swing the bat at a pitch that was a little bit up in the zone, something a little bit more borderline, and Manning ultimately couldn't really do anything with it. And as Conti works quickly here, again ahead in the count against Santos.
He'll try to put him away quickly here. The fastball up and away. Beavers unafraid to send 2 left-handed bats right against the left-handed pitcher. But those are the only 2 lefties in the lineup. We'll see all right-handers afterwards. And Santos goes down swinging at that breaking ball in the dirt. Great placement by Conti. And a nice start for him, 2 up, 2 down, with Lapham coming up to bat.
Yeah, and we'll see the replay right here. A really nice sequence of pitches from Conti. Got ahead, way ahead in the count, 0-2. And that third offering, we saw that fastball up and out of the zone, away from Santos. But then Conti came back with that breaking ball in the dirt to change the eye level. There was nothing Santos could do about it.
And up comes Tommy Lapham. swings through that breaking ball outside. So real nice job getting ahead of these hitters. Conti working quickly, looks confident. And the 0-2 delivery here. Another breaking ball. Lapham gets with that one and sends it back up the middle for a base hit. So some nice two-strike hitting with 2 outs. We'll get a runner on for the Beavers and bring up the cleanup hitter, Josh Yellen.
Yeah, and we see on this replay right here, looks like Conti was attempting to do the same thing he did in that last at-bat. Way ahead, went back to that breaking ball, but that one just hung up enough for Lapham to get his barrel on it and send it back up the middle. Really nice job, as you mentioned, Brian, of hitting with 2 strikes, not trying to do too much with that pitch, and was obviously willing to use pretty much every part of the field as he went straight back up the middle.
First pitch here to Yellen, up and in, nearly hitting him, but just avoiding the delivery. Get a good look at Conti right there, working out of the stretch for the first time this afternoon. Still morning, just hitting 11 a.m. We're supposed to start at 10 a.m., but had a little bit of a delay waiting for umpires, but we are ready to go and excited for this rubber match. Conti looking at the runner, now going towards home. The runner is taking off. The throw gets away from Haney, and Lapham will be safe there with the stolen base.
Yeah, and for McNaney behind the plate, as you see that replay, even if that ball hadn't gone away, perhaps Lapham in there under that throw, ahead of that throw. Again, for McNaney behind the plate, not a great pitch to throw on, but made increasingly difficult by the fact that you have Conti on the mound as a left-hander. Lapham over there at first base, more than likely moving or going on first movement from the lefty.
So a quick visit here from the catcher, McNaney. Just trying to settle Conti down. Got the first 2 outs of this inning before a 2-out hit. Now falling behind the cleanup hitter 2-0. We saw a little bit of the same story yesterday. Harrison DeRoe retiring the first 2 before giving up a run on a bases-loaded hit by pitch. That ball in there for a strike.
Yeah, Brian, and it really started the day off for this Tigers staff, and it kind of carried over throughout the entirety for all of the appearances that we saw yesterday from these Tiger arms. Seemed a little bit complacent, a little bit of a lack of intensity, especially after the Tigers grabbed that big 7-run lead in the bottom of the first inning. Something that I think we saw a lot on the broadcast that we called together last year. Tigers just really failing to be able to shut the door, but they have a really nice opportunity after putting up a ton of runs yesterday as Conti induces that ground ball, but that throw is going to get away, and the first run of the day will come in for the Beavers.
Yeah, had a chance to get out of the inning there on the ground ball to short, but that throw just getting away from the outstretched Nelson at first. Wisniewski over there at short. And so the Beavers on the board early as they were yesterday. And Conti going to have to settle in here after the unearned run scores, and Michael Cook at the plate.
Yeah, it was a good job by Conti in that at-bat after falling behind 2-0 to come back and induce that ground ball, but just didn't get the help that he needed from his infield right there. And certainly a difficult play. Not a great throw by Wisniewski, who's playing out there at shortstop today. But for Nelson at first base, you really get caught in between on a play like that. You have the chance to end the inning and bring the bats to the plate if you're able to haul that one in. But obviously if you can't and it gets past, then a run scoring. So you get caught in the middle there, and obviously it's the less favorable of the 2 outcomes for the Tigers, and all of a sudden they trail 1-0 like they did yesterday.
And they trail and still have a runner on second, do the Beavers, so not out of this by any means. Conti with another visit from McNaney, but now ready to go. And that delivery fouled off the other way and out of play. We've already seen the 2 visits from McNaney, and last week in Birmingham, Dave Smith telling me he went out to talk to Conti early on after the first inning, looked a little rattled, like he was tiptoeing a bit around the strike zone, and then from the second inning on really settled in and had a phenomenal outing, going 6 innings, striking out 11, a career high, and giving up just 2 runs. So Conti, someone that just really has to get into the flow of a game, get the feel, and before you know it, he might be striking out man after man. So just having to get out of this first inning, gave up a run in that first inning against Wash U, and then after that in the following 5, only gave up 1. So he's at 19 pitches right now in the first, and ahead 1-2 of Cook. Cook fights that one off towards the Tigers' dugout.
Yeah, Brian, and I think what has been a really nice sign for Conti early on today is the fact that even when he has gotten ahead in these counts, which more often than not he has done today, he's remained really competitive. He's thrown a lot of balls, a lot of pitches right around the zone, and he's forcing these Babson Beavers to pick up the bat and swing it. Cook doing a nice job on that last pitch to battle it off.
McNaney there asking for it high. He got it there. Cook laying off, though, and evening up the count 2 apiece. Conti right back on the rubber. And time called very late there by the home plate umpire. Was a long time to be standing on the mound for Conti, so have to imagine that came from Cook there, and granted. So we'll reset here. 2-2 remains the count. Cook with no batting gloves, awaiting this 2-2 delivery. And that pitch down and in, so now the full count.
Yeah, and a good approach from Conti in this at-bat. We saw that 1-2 pitch, a fastball up in the zone, got Cook's hand started, and then Conti changed the eye level. But right here, I don't like anything close to the zone. I especially like a breaking ball.
Instead, he goes with the fastball, and it lands outside and a little bit high, so Cook draws the walk. And the Beavers continue their 2-out rally here, had no one on with 2 down, but they got a base hit from Lapham, then was driven in on the air off the bat of Yellen, and now the base on balls brings up Barichka to the plate. Sean Barichka. First pitch to Barichka, fouled back, and Barichka, not someone who has seen a lot of results in the box score so far, but something we talked about a lot on Friday, drawing pitch after pitch, just fouling off so many pitches and forcing Corey Cater to work. Seeing 20 pitches, just the one batter, Barichka, so really having an impact. And Conti's pitch count already at 24, so would love to have a quick at-bat here result in the 3rd out. That pitch, though, a little bit low.
Yeah, but a good idea from Conti right there, especially after Barichka steps into the box swinging immediately. Another competitive pitch that was right around the zone, obviously hoping to induce a swing and miss on that last one. But Barichka now, after being aggressive with that first swing, starting to lay off, and I think that's something that we've seen this entire series from this Babson lineup. They've been really patient in the box and overall incredibly impressive bats for their first series of the season.
And that pitch missing again inside, and Conti, despite the nice start with those quick outs, really has not been able to pitch inside in the strike zone, at least. Every time he tries to go in on these right-handed bats, it's missed a little too much. And so the Beavers so far able to wait out and extend their bats. We'll see what Barichka does ahead 3-1. He stares at that one that misses, so now bases loaded and 2 outs for the Beavers, a chance to add to this early lead, and it'll be Jackson Kelly stepping to the plate. Kelly coming in to pinch hit yesterday in the 9th inning for Barichka, who just drew the walk. But now Kelly getting the start himself, the first of the season for the junior from Winona, New Jersey. And he has a big opportunity here against the Tigers lefty, who gets the first pitch in there for a called strike.
Yeah, but Brian, eerily similar to the start in the game that we had yesterday. After a couple of quick outs, Babson able to scratch one, and obviously incredibly threatening here with the bases loaded, but Tigers and Harrison Durow, who earned that start yesterday, were able to get out of it, leave the Beavers stranded on the bases.
And that's a called third strike for Conti. Big time pitch there here in the first inning to get out of the bases loaded jam. And a much needed return to the dugout to bring the Tigers to bat. The Beavers do strike early and take a 1-0 lead, but Trinity coming up after the break. Welcome back to Tiger Network, where the Babson Beavers jumped out ahead with a 1-0 lead. But the Tigers ready to come to bat after exploding for 12 runs yesterday. And it'll be the first year Brandon Nelson getting the opportunity atop the lineup here. This is his second career start, and he is not wasting any time grounding that one to second base, where Lapham will retire him easily for the first out of the game. So Nelson, maybe a little jumpy getting that spot at the top of the lineup and recording the quick out.
Yeah, Brian, and in really the middle stages of the game yesterday, when Babson began to call on their bullpen, I think one of the things that the Tigers didn't do incredibly well was force new pitchers that came into the game to throw a couple of balls across the plate, allow the guys behind them in the lineup, those guys on deck, those waiting in the dugout, to see the stuff of the newly inserted Beaver pitchers. So immediately Tanner Haney stepping into the box, taking a couple of pitches, doing a little bit of a better job before he swings and misses over the top of that one, falls behind in the count, 1-2 now.
And Haney, a new name for those tuning in to Tiger Network for the first time. If you didn't tune into the games at Birmingham, as he swings over the top of a changeup that looks like it has some great movement for the starter, Anthony St. John. St. John, the junior out of Hopewell, New Jersey, making his first career appearance for Babson despite being in his third year. But we've talked throughout this weekend of Babson's difficulties getting on the field during COVID-19, playing just 3 games in 2020 and 17 last year, led by their horses at the mound. And so this weekend we've seen quite a few Beavers get their first chances on the mound, and the latest one of those, St. John, who's gotten a couple of quick outs on the ground ball and the strikeout, but it brings to the plate one of the hotter Tigers, M.J. Metz. And Metz looks at that changeup that looked to be in a good spot, but called a ball, so gets ahead 2-0. Saw some Babson parents behind home. They have come out in full fashion. You see that Kelly Green behind home. They wanted that called. Now Metz chopping that one foul.
Yeah, Brian, and you mentioned that hot start to the year for MJ Metz. Incredibly impressive in that game that we called together Friday night. Doubled off the wall in right field a couple of times. Those balls traveling a lot further than we figured they would in the cold weather. But Metz start the year hitting at a 444 mark, but he's also walked 6 times in the first 5 games. So that on-base percentage well up over 500 to start the year.
2-2 delivery. Metz is able to lay off of that one and take the count full. Metz 4 for 7 this weekend with those doubles that you mentioned. A couple runs batted in. And he waits back on that changeup, but still a little bit early and sends it to the Tiger bullpen. Metz one of those that shows the shifting happening in the Tigers lineup. Led off last week in Birmingham, then shifted down to the cleanup spot, now in the third hole. And in this third spot where he takes a walk with 2 outs, so some similarities already between the Tigers and Beavers' first times at the plate. The first 2 men retired before a man reaches with 2 outs. We'll see if the Tigers can get a little 2-out rally going as well, and really no better man for that than Ezra Gore, who steps to the plate.
Yeah, Brian, he steps in after an incredibly impressive day yesterday, and it started really early for him. It was Kylie behind the plate, who's been incredibly impressive defensively all series, is unable to throw MJ Metz, who's moving really early on in this count, perhaps catching the Beavers a little bit off guard. Kylie makes a nice throw, but Metz sliding on the back half of the bag as the infielder comes all the way forward to grab that ball. That might be the difference in that one, and all of a sudden the Tigers do have a runner in scoring position.
And Ezra has shown an ability to bring those runs in. He skies this one out to left center field, and the center fielder ranges over to retire Gore. That's Manning out there in center, who keeps the Tigers off the board. So we'll head to the top of the second. Babson with the 1-0 lead. We'll be right back on Tiger Network. Sammy Conti back on the mound after escaping that first inning trouble with just the 1 run, and he'll face the catcher, Alex Reynolds, who's behind the plate today instead of Kylie, who got the call the first 2 games. And this afternoon, a real family affair in multiple ways with Conti on the mound here, as his delivery to Reynolds is driven back up the middle off the glove of Haney and into the shallow outfield that will allow Reynolds to reach base with a leadoff single. But Sammy Conti on the mound for the Tigers. He transferred to Trinity from Northeastern in Boston. And if that sounds familiar, we have mentioned Northeastern a couple of times. And so the connection here comes that head coach Matt Noon of Babson was the coach of Sammy Conti's dad, who pitched at Northeastern. And so Coach Noon telling me this week that he has seen Conti pitch when he first started on the mound. He was a little kid in Little League getting to see him pitch right alongside his dad. So a real nice opportunity for them to reconnect here in San Antonio. As Perkle sends that one to short, Wisniewski over to Haney. Gets it onto first just late to turn 2, but a nice job getting the lead runner off the ground ball from Jack Perkle.
And a nice pitch from Conti right there, Brian. In on the hands of the hitter. Not a whole lot he could do with it on that swing. Nice job from Wisniewski, especially after we saw that throwing error from him in the top of the first inning. Responds nicely there by getting the quick out after the Beavers get their first runner aboard here in the top of the second. But what an incredible story that you bring up. Just so awesome to see all the connections at this level of baseball, such unique ones that we get and have the pleasure of talking about on our broadcast.
Yeah, and the stories really don't end there. The connections between Boston and San Antonio. Trinity head coach Tim Scannell playing at Northeastern as well, and he played with Sam Conti's dad. That is how that relationship was built. That brought Conti down from the Huskies to the Tigers. And Tim Scannell also knowing head coach Noon for over 20 years now as they were together at Northeastern. So real Boston vibes here, and we've had Boston weather for these past 2 days, but thankfully now looking a little bit more like South Texas. As Manning sends that one into right field, Haney with a nice bluff of the runner stops him for just a bit, but that ball does get to the wall. A runner will not score, though, as we'll get a look at this replay. A real clever play by Haney as Manning sending this one all the way to the wall, bouncing off the wall over the head of the right fielder, Peterson. But Haney originally just faking as if the ball was coming to second base and slowing down the runner just enough to keep him at third. So now runners at second and third. Santos at the plate. First pitch to him, a high strike.
Yeah, Brian, but a really nice piece of hitting by Manning, and that at bat gets back to his hot ways after that incredible game that we talked about yesterday. Looks like Conti had thrown him some sort of off-speed pitch, and even though Manning was well out in front of it, he was able to get enough barrel on that baseball to send it deep into the outfield.
And Manning's red-hot weekend continues. And a couple of more ducks sitting out there on the ponds for the Beavers. Trying to drive them in is Santos. Beavers leaving the bases loaded in the first, getting only that one run. We'll see if Conti can once again escape this situation. Does get ahead 1-2. We've seen him go in the dirt with the breaking ball, but it looks like McNaney wants the fastball high, and he gets it, but able to lay off there. Santos evening up the count. Beavers just not biting on those pitches that are just outside the strike zone. They're doing a great job being patient and forcing the pitch to really be right there, and it's how they've been able to connect early. This time, the breaking ball low and fouled off to the first baseman, Nelson. Long wait here for the 2-2. Big moment early on in this one. And Conti goes with the breaking ball that Santos is now able to send the opposite direction towards the concession stand. And we'll do the 2-2 once again.
Good job by Conti, remaining competitive with these pitches. forcing Santos to swing the bat, but not giving him anything good enough to put in play.
And a swing and a miss there on the high fastball. Santos trying to check his swing, but unable to do so. One step closer to getting out of it is Conti, with Thomas Lapham coming to the plate.
Yeah, Brian, another great sequence of pitches from Conti right there. Went with that breaking ball away that Santos had to fight off. Ended up foul out of play down the left field line, but came back immediately with that fastball up and more towards the center of the plate. Santos, absolutely nothing that he could do with it. Sped him up too much and just wasn't prepared with it, that half-hearted swing.
And then the beautiful curveball to start off this at-bat. Ahead 0-1, and he goes right back to it. Lapham slaps it up the middle and in the perfect spot. In will come 2 runs as Lapham just able to get enough on that one and send it into center field. So a nice pitch here. You see the breaking ball, likely not a strike if he doesn't swing, but just able to get it in there. And the Beavers up 3-0 here in the second inning.
Yeah, and for Lapham right there, waited back on that pitch just enough. I think you're exactly right, Brian. That one's certainly not going to end up in the strike zone. But Lapham did a really nice job right there by simply throwing his bat head at it. Got enough of the barrel on the baseball. And that one just in an unfortunate spot. On top of that, not particularly hard hit. Too soft for Ezra Gore to come up and make a strong throw home to get that second runner that ended up scoring and make this one a 3-0 ball game.
And Lapham now 2 for 2 with 2 pretty identical hits, both of them up the middle, and this one driving in 2 and bringing up Josh Yellen to the plate. Yellen reaching on the air, that drove in the first run of the afternoon. Lapham on his way to second, and he'll get there with ease as the throw from McNaney well late. And so the Beavers causing all sorts of chaos here. Not afraid to run off the left-handed pitcher Conti, and McNaney just unable to get it in time. And now another runner in scoring position. And the Beavers, who have done such a tremendous job this weekend with 2 outs and runners in scoring position, get yet another opportunity. The 1-1-2 Yellen high.
Yeah, Brian, you mentioned their affinity to hitting and driving in runs with 2 outs. We flash back to the game on Friday, 5-4 victory. They scored all 5 of those runs in such scenarios. So really great situational hitting from the Beavers, but something you said before that seems like it'll certainly be pertinent today, as they're more than willing to run with a left-hander on the mound. McNaney, unfortunately, a couple of poor pitches to throw on. Some things on the inside part of the plate, not opening up a throwing lane for him. And that last one specifically, bouncing to the plate, saw him have to really double clutch at that baseball. And typically when that happens, you have a runner in motion, not going to have a great chance to get the out.
Yellen sends this one to right field, but it'll land in foul territory. Peterson giving it a good effort, running into the screen over there. Yesterday, we certainly saw our fair share of runs from both sides, that 12-11 victory for Trinity. And if you're used to watching Tiger baseball here on Tiger Network, double-digit runs, not a surprise. The Tigers scoring double-digit runs 14 times last season, but they also allowed 10 or more runs 10 different times. That 2-2 pitch fouled off and hits Yellen in the batter's box, so he'll stay there.
Yeah, Brian, and I know we talked about it a little bit before the game on Friday, jokingly, looking back at some of the basketball games we had earlier in the year, and both the Trinity men's and women's programs surpassing the century mark at multiple points throughout the season. I know you love pushing for the free tacos here in San Antonio when that happens. We wondered what it was going to need or what it was going to take for the Tiger baseball team to earn those same type of honors, but immediately they come out of the gates in the second home game in the season and break that 10-run mark. That's something that you had set, but pretty much immediately after, you remembered the fact that they were almost averaging double digits last year. So certainly something that we'll have to keep brainstorming about as this season continues.
I do think we will have to raise the bar on that one. As you mentioned, Tigers averaging nearly 9.5 runs a game last year, so 10 would just be too easy, as Conti with a nice off-speed delivery there gets Yellen to fan at it and miss, so he gets out of the inning after allowing 2 runs to score. We'll take a break, keep brainstorming on what will award people here at the ballpark if the Tigers score a certain amount of runs, but meanwhile, Tigers looking to get those runs when we come back. Just an absolutely picture-perfect day here in San Antonio. 51 degrees and not a cloud in sight. Hard to believe the past 2 days we've had where it's been cloudy and rainy and cold, but finally looking a little bit more like spring. And now all that's missing from the perfect picture are some Tiger runs. And it'll be Jack Wisniewski leading off this inning and trying to get things going for Trinity.
Yeah, Brian, and after a couple of frames here now, it seems like we're really starting to see what the strike zone is going to look like today. That first pitch looking like it was well outside, but called a strike to start the day for Wisniewski and forces him to swing in the bat at another pitch that wasn't particularly close to the zone. I think that's something that we've seen pretty regularly to start the season here for the Tigers. Not incredibly satisfied with the umpires that they've drawn. So you see Wisniewski bouncing that one to the right side of the infield. And he's retired quickly there by Lapham.
St. John continues to work quickly. Gets a first pitch strike in there to Brian Schaub. St. John trying to go in on Schaub, but missing right underneath his hands.
Yeah, and that pitch, similar to the one that we saw in that previous at-bat, first pitch to Wisniewski, but not being called on the inside part of the plate to right-handed hitters, only the outside part of the plate to lefties. And Brian Schaub, that third offering, pulls it down the left field line, but straight to the third baseman. And quickly here in the bottom of the second, St. John has 2 outs, and he's done a nice job to start the day, keeping that pitch count down.
Keeping that pitch count down and also working the ground ball. Out of 5 outs, 3 of them via the ground out. Definitely the way to keep the ball from flying out of the ballpark. First pitch there from St. John. Missing, looks like a little bit outside, allowing Vonderhaar to get ahead here 1-0. And pitch almost in the exact same spot, this time called a strike. Vonderhaar not getting the start yesterday, but coming in to pinch hit. Ended up going 1 for 3. As that pitch well outside. Tiger fans have gotten used to seeing Vonderhaar and Wisniewski in the lineup, but yesterday both of them not in the starting lineup. And that's the first time that's happened for both of them since April 2nd of 2019, when they were both sophomores. So these super seniors always playing together, telling me earlier today they spend a little too much time together, they think, at times. But yesterday getting the day off until that pinch hitting opportunity for Vonderhaar. And the catcher Reynolds thinking he had a strike called there, but umpire puts up his fingers, showing a 3-2 count. St. John's delivery, a changeup that is slapped the other way. Vonderhaar trying to hustle it over to first, but the shortstop Perkle will retire him. 3 up, 3 down for Anthony St. John. Keeps the Tigers at bay and sends us to the top of the third, where the Beavers will have a 3-0 lead. Welcome back to Tiger Network. Sammy Conti standing tall on the mound and delivering a first pitch ball to Michael Cook. Cook, the 2021 All-NUMAC Academic Honor. Didn't get the most playing time out of any Beaver, but did play in 11 games, homering twice. Sends that breaking ball back towards the screen. 1-2 count here. Conti ahead of Cook. And the curveball outside there, not fooling Cook, so the count now even at 2-2. We'll try to get that on your screen right there. 2-2 from Conti. McNaney trying to bring that back in, but it's outside, so the count full. And Conti taking a little walk behind the mound. Someone who creates a lot of his own energy when he's out there. Very intense. And the 3-2 bounced in the dirt. So a leadoff walk for the Beavers and Cook.
Yeah, Brian, you talk about Conti and the fact that he really likes to get going, really relies on himself to bring it when he makes these appearances on the mound. And so far through 2 innings, obviously the 3 runs on the board for Babson, but I don't think that's entirely reflective of the way he's performed today. Obviously that leadoff walk, not something that he'll be too happy about, but he's done a really nice job so far in this one of being able to respond. And immediately Tabrichka gets ahead in the count 0-1.
To your point, there really haven't been many hard-hit balls. We saw that 2-run single from Lapham, really just a poke out there into the outfield. But just kind of a pesky lineup from this Babson side.
Yeah, Brian, and I think it's been indicative of their approach to the game really for the entirety of this weekend. They've been willing to do the things that they need to have success both on the mound and in the box. Obviously, coming into the game yesterday early on with bases loaded, having already given up a ton of runs, The goal has to be to get out of it, and they were willing to do so, and they understood that they had a lot of time left in that one, and they clawed their way all the way back, only failing to mount the comeback by 1 run. In the batter's box so far this weekend, they've really used the entire field. I mentioned that hit that drove in 2 the last inning. Just throwing the bat out there, trying to put the barrel on the baseball. I think it's something that we've seen the Tigers really struggle to do in this weekend series. The Tigers, we talk a lot about the power in this lineup, specifically from Schaub and the likes of Vonderhaar, guys that combined to hit over 20 home runs together last year. But so far this weekend, we've seen the majority of this lineup really fail to go the other way. But for the left-handers today, with a little bit more of a liberal strike call in the outside part of the plate, it seems like that's exactly what they're going to need to do to have success as they move forward in this one.
Certainly never out of a game are these Tigers, and we saw that clearly yesterday on the other side as well, as Conti checks on the runner there. Cook not going anywhere quite yet. Tigers getting out to that 8-1 lead in the first, but it ended up much closer than that, just 12-11 by the end of it. And right here we've seen Conti step off the mound several times, a couple of times thanks to time by Barichka, but looks like a couple of them have also just been Conti wanting to step out. Now a chopper just in front of the mound, but it was foul before Conti or Metz could get there. So Barichka, as he's done all weekend long, staying alive. And there's a great look at how Conti steps well behind the mound and is waiting for the batter to step into the box before getting to the rubber. Perhaps trying to get a good rhythm and not wait too long on the rubber. Conti delivers a looping breaking ball that Barichka sends the other way foul.
Now, Brian, we're seeing from Barichka what we were so used to in the first game of the series, falling behind early in this at-bat, but doing a really nice job to make Conti work even more. Still here in the top of the third inning, that pitch count running all the way up into the upper 60s right now.
But he does blow that fastball by Barichka, finally getting a Beaver to chase that ball up in the zone. And Barichka with the long walk back to the dugout, 1 away for Conti. Strikeout number 5 for the Boston native. And he'll continue to check on Cook over there at first. Cook doesn't seem like a threat to run in 11 games last year. Did not have a stolen base, was caught once. But Conti worried about him and checks once again. And Brandon Nelson, his throwing partner over there. Conti now does deliver to Kelly, who tries to check his swing, but goes around, says the home plate umpire. Kelly pleading for a check with the umpire out there at second, but the home plate taking it himself.
Yeah, Brian, and either way on that check swing, really nice competitive pitch. Something that we've seen from Conti a couple times, including that last at-bat, as you mentioned, getting Barichka to chase on the pitch up in the zone. Same thing that we saw out of him in the last half inning, help him get out of the jam when he had runners on.
And right there, an important development for Conti if he can continue that. Really the first time he's been able to land the inside fastball for a strike. When he's at his best, Conti able to move that fastball around inside and out, and McNaney wants it right back there, and he does put it there. Kelly able to fight it off, but looking good from Conti to be able to get it inside right to the catcher's mitt 2 times in a row. We'll see what he goes to on 0-2. McNaney setting up inside again, and this time a little bit of off-speed delivery, and Kelly able to fight it off, but you can see what hitting the inside part of the plate with the fastball can open up.
Yeah, because I really like that pitch that he followed with there, Brian. He went down hard and in on the hands of Kelly, forcing him to swing the bat, but then came back with a pitch that I think leaked over the plate a little bit more than he wanted to. Forced Kelly to swing again. He's able to foul it off, but I think Conti in that last delivery was hoping that that breaking ball was just going to end up as a back door that catches the outer half of the plate and catches Kelly looking.
McNaney continues to move to the inside part of the plate, but time called by Kelly. Once again, as Conti raises his front leg, we've seen it a couple of times. Can't imagine Conti loves stopping mid-stride, but we'll see what he comes up with on this 1-2 count, and it's fouled back yet again, but yet again hitting that fastball in. So we'll see if they've hammered home that inside corner, if Conti now tries to go away with an off-speed pitch, or if they keep pounding that inside corner. McNaney setting up outside, and that fastball driven to the outfield. Gore is back, and he makes the catch. Had a little bit of trouble with that one, perhaps the sun getting in his eyes, but Ezra Gore able to come up with that catch and send Cook back to first.
Yeah, Brian, we're going to look at this replay right here. Obviously, Ezra Gore continuing to move back. Can't exactly tell if he made that catch with his glove, but not sure it was something that he needed to do. As a football player, someone that roams the secondary for the Tigers on the gridiron, someone that's more than capable of coming up with interceptions, as Reynolds quickly gets this at-bat going, sending that one down the right field line, but looks like that one will wind up foul down in that corner. But a great job by Ezra Gore to secure that catch by any means necessary. Get Conti a second out here in the top of the third inning. We talked already about that pitch count that's beginning to creep up, now sitting at 75 pitches, but in the first action of the series that we called, we saw Corey Cater on the mound for the Tigers, and he pitched well past the century mark. So for Conti, who's really beginning to find his location, specifically with that fastball, as we see it again right there, to go up 0-2 in this count. If he can continue with this consistency on the mound, I'm sure that this coaching staff will be more than confident in him to continue to go out there for the next couple of frames and get this Tiger staff as deep into the game as possible after they mowed through a lot of arms in the bullpen in yesterday's action.
And I think that right there is the most important part of the puzzle. 6 pitchers used by the Tigers yesterday, more than they like to go to in any given game. In fact, they want to use 6 in a weekend in an entire 3-game series. Dave Smith explaining to me that in his ideal world, you have 3 elite starters, 3 elite closers, and that will do it for a weekend, but hasn't worked out that way this time around. It did work out last weekend like that, only 6 pitchers going, 3 starters and 3 relievers. But the Tigers having to dive a little bit deeper into their bullpen. Emphasis on bullpen there for the term. As Conti trying to get out of this inning, the 1-2 swung on and missed by Reynolds. So another strikeout for Conti will send the Tigers to the dugout and back to the plate. We'll take a quick break on Tiger Network and be back as the Tigers trying to get back into this one. Anthony St. John back on the mound. 2 clean innings for him with just a walk allowed. The bottom of the order for the Tigers will try to get something going. First pitch to McNaney called a ball. McNaney getting the start on Friday night and then making an appearance yesterday as well. Fouls that one towards the Babson dugout. McNaney, the sophomore from Albuquerque, New Mexico, got the unexpected start on Friday. Didn't know he was going until right about game time, and that happened yet again today as he swings over that pitch inside on his hands. Luke, you and I got to see that exciting moment when the Tigers go over to the lineup sheet and find out who is in and who is out. And as we've talked about, so many guys that could be in that it's truly a mystery before every game.
Yeah, absolutely. And over the first couple of games so far this season, we've seen a ton of different Tigers in the lineup. So exciting to see the reactions, especially when there's been as much movement from game to game. Obviously, a couple of new faces in the lineup for the first time this series here today.
And if you don't believe us with the movement, this is game number 6 for the Tigers, and they have starting lineup number 6, so it has not been the same on any back-to-back days. And one of the new names for the first time this series is Jack Peterson here in the 9-hole. Peterson looks at that changeup down and away for a ball. Peterson, one of the fastest Tigers on the roster. When he gets going, it is hard to stop him. We've seen him as a pinch runner several times already this season, and a great fielder, whether it's in right or center. He's in right this afternoon and ahead 2-0, gets a good swing on that one, fouls it straight back into the bricks.
Yeah, Brian, and I think that's indicative of why we see so many different Tigers in the lineup. Peterson inserted for the first time here this weekend, but steps in, and after seeing a couple of balls right on that pitch, although he fouls it back, that's been the primary reason that we've seen 6 different lineups in 6 games, because there's so many competitive guys on the roster. As Peterson takes that ball on the outside, but it's a called strike after that same pitch, or at least similar pitches were called as balls to start off the at-bat and get him ahead 2-0. That one all of a sudden has him even at 2-2.
And then perhaps that called strike forcing Peterson to swing at the changeup in a similar location, and it ends up in just an easy ground ball for the pitcher, St. John. So St. John able to recover down 2-0, getting Peterson to ground out, and it'll turn the lineup back over to the top, bringing up Brandon Nelson, who is the prime example of the lineup changes as well. We got to talk to Coach Tim Scannell when he put that lineup sheet out and asked him what made him put Nelson at the top, and he said he wasn't sure. He just wanted to try something out, didn't have a real reason for it, but trusted Nelson to be in the leadoff spot. And Nelson, like he did in his first at-bat, swings at the first pitch, grounds it to second base, and is quickly set down. And the Tigers go down in order for the second consecutive inning. Still no hits on the board for Trinity. We head to the top of the 4th. Babson remains ahead 3-0. Conti ready to go quickly after the Tigers went down swiftly in their half inning. Jack Perkle at the plate. He grounded to short last time, able to beat out what ended up being a fielder's choice, not a double play. Perkle has been in the leadoff spot the last 2 days, but now a trip down to number 9, and he's down 0-2. Lays off that curveball in the dirt. The 1-2 now to Perkle. Up and in, able to fight it off. So Conti bringing that over from the third now into the fourth inning. Finally getting a hold of that inside part of the plate. And he goes there yet again, the breaking ball landing right where he wants it. Perkle just able to get a piece of it, though. He'll stay alive. Perkle, the senior from Brightwaters, New York. Hit .327 last year for the Beavers, playing in all 17 games, driving in 12 runs.
Yeah, Brian, and something that I know you mentioned earlier in this one, talking about Conti's last outing, opening weekend, had those 6 innings pitched in which he struck out 11. Incredibly impressive start for the big left-hander. And so far here today, we've already seen 6 out of them as that one's driven to left field and dies before Vonderhaar can come in to make the catch. So Perkle a little bit more successful in the third game here of this series as he goes down to get that one. Another nice piece of hitting from the Beavers in this lineup. Another great pitch, competitive one from Conti that's borderline strike. Looked like that was a fastball, but it looked like it wouldn't have wound up in the zone. But these Beavers willing to reach just a little bit, and when they do so, not ever trying to do too much with the baseball and with their swings. And they've been incredibly successful because of that.
And what it does is bring the top of the order up in Manning. He pops it way up in the infield. Right there is MJ Metz guarding his eyes from the sun and retiring the first out of the inning. Perkle and Manning doing a little flip-flop from 1 and 9. And Perkle, who led off, remains at first, but Manning will be retired for the second time today. He's 1 for 3. Now Tanner Santos back up.
Yeah, Brian, and returning to the point that I was trying to make before Perkle singled to left field a couple batters ago. Conti, obviously, big lefty who has a lot of movement on his balls. That one is sent out to Gore in center field. He'll range over to his right to make that catch, hauling that one in for the second out of the inning. Conti, a strikeout pitcher, that at bat against Perkle, getting a little bit lengthier because of the Beavers' tendency to fight and foul off pitches that are close to the zone when Conti's gotten ahead. And if Conti wants to continue here in this one as his pitch count hits 88 on the day, he's got a Beaver in a rundown.
And he gets him there at second base. Nice job by Conti, who has kept a close eye on the running game and catches Perkle trying to steal second. Nice job by Nelson getting it over there quickly. We'll take a look at this replay before we go to break. You see Conti getting ready to deliver to Lapham, but gunning it over to first, and Nelson getting it to Wisniewski, who puts the tag down and retires the third out of the inning. So a quick inning there for Conti, much needed to keep his pitch count where he needs it. The Tigers coming to bat looking for their first hit of the afternoon. Tanner Haney ready to step up to the plate. See if the second time around the order will be more fruitful for these Tigers. And Haney does swing at the first pitch and caught by Lapham, nearly getting into right center field. I could have sworn that was going to get out there for the first hit of the afternoon. Haney lining it, but look at that outstretched jump by Lapham.
Yeah, you saw in that replay, Haney stopping in his tracks about halfway down that first base line. Really well hit ball. And for the first time here today, we see the Tigers willing to go the other way with it. It's not a bad pitch by St. John, but one of the few that really didn't have the movement to the inside part of the plate, just hung up right over the heart of it. And Haney able to take advantage, but Lapham with a spectacular defensive play over there at second base.
It brings up MJ Metz to the plate, who's had the best at-bat so far for the Tigers, taking it all the way full before drawing a walk. The only base runner of the game for the Tigers. Still no hits allowed by St. John. Thought we had it from Haney, but Lapham had other plans. And that changeup moving a ton, looking like it would go to the middle of the plate, instead ending up in the dirt. It makes me think of something Coach Scannell has told his team throughout January and February in the lead up to the season. Sometimes you have to not aim for what you want as a hitter, which is always the fastball pretty much, but you have to be ready for what they're giving you, and St. John seems to be giving them the changeup, a heavy dose of it at least, so we'll see if the Tigers are able to adjust and sit on it. And Metz starts doing that as he sends a ball down the line and will stand up at second base with a double. The double machine keeps at it as MJ Metz breaks through in the hit column for the Tigers.
Yeah, Brian, and I know you missed yesterday's action, but we saw a couple of balls batted off the Tigers' sticks yesterday down that left field line, winding up in that corner. And a defensive change for the Beavers today puts Kelly in left field. I believe it was Cook who was out there defensively yesterday. And Cook, on 3 of those balls that wound up out there, did a great job of getting all the way around them and limiting the Tigers to just one base on those hits. But MJ Metz recognizing that Kelly a little bit slower to the baseball out there, taking advantage of it and finding his way into scoring position, giving him his 3rd double on the weekend.
3rd double of the weekend and 5th of the season, as more than half of Metz's hits have been doubles. Add a home run to that, and he has 6 extra base hits. And he has 6 of the Tigers' 11 extra base hits. The pop has been missing so far early this season for Trinity. As Ezra Gore awaits the 1-1, you see Metz jumping around there. Gore fanning at that changeup. But the Tigers only connecting for 11 extra base hits. That's good enough for 20% of their total hit output. Last year, 32% of the Tigers' hits were for extra bases. That's a double, a triple, or a home run. But it just hasn't been there early this year, but wouldn't expect it to take very long. And someone who has had it, along with Metz, is Gore here, who has a 2-2 count. Coming off a career-high 5 RBI performance yesterday, tries to get another one, and he might as he lines it into right field. Metz will hold up at third. Gore taking advantage of the throw all the way through and will take second. So the Tigers, after no hits through 3, have something going here in the bottom of the 4th.
Yeah, and a nice piece of hitting by Gore right here. Saw Haney in the first at-bat of the inning go the other way with it. Gore follows suit and perhaps deep enough in the outfield to score the runner, but honestly, I prefer this safe approach. You don't want to make the second out of the inning at home plate. Would prefer the opportunity for Wisniewski right here to drive in a couple if he can put one in a gap and make this a 1-run ball game.
First pitch to Wisniewski, dotted on the outside corner. Surprised we didn't see a cutoff there in the infield off of that throw from right. Could have prevented Gore from advancing, but Gore capitalizing on that mistake, and now 2 runners in scoring position. Wisniewski looks at that one outside. Wisniewski 0 for 1 today, hitting just 143 as you saw there on the year, but someone who drove in 41 runs a year ago. And he chops that one to the right side. Metz will have to stay at third as Yellen jumps off of his position there and takes care of Wisniewski himself. So a big out for St. John. And it'll be up to a 2-out at bat from Brian Schaub to try to bring in a couple of runs.
Yeah, Brian, a little bit of a warmer day here for the Tigers. Sunnier out than it has been in the past couple. Schaub with an opportunity to obviously drive in a couple, but certainly one of the Tiger bats in this lineup that's capable of tying this thing up with one swing, but have to like the approach to continue getting guys on base, passing the baton off, and hopefully continuing a 2-out rally if he can score a couple right here.
And you can just imagine if Schaub is able to guess right on one of these changeups and St. John leaves it up, could go a long, long way. That one low for a ball. Schaub ahead 2-1. Will be interesting to see St. John's approach. You do have the powerful Vonderhaar behind him as well, so no easy way out of this one. He goes right at Schaub with the changeup, but it's a good one that gets Schaub swinging and missing. A 2-2 count coming up for the powerful righty from Pennsylvania. The first real opportunity for the Tigers this afternoon. Schaub muscles it over to center, but nearly a catch from Lapham, but he drops it, and 2 runs will score. Looked like Lapham was going to have another phenomenal catch out there at second, but he just missed it. And Gore follows Metz into home, and the Tigers are within 1.
Yeah, and we'll see on the replay right here, you mentioned he muscles that one in the outfield. Looks like Lapham originally turns, dropping that right shoulder to go back. But, Brian, when we've been outside before games this weekend, typically those flags blowing in towards that right field foul line. And I think that might have had an impact on that play as he gets mixed up and he ends up with his back turned to the baseball, ultimately just losing that one. Impressive that he was able to get a glove on it, but really a difficult play to make, and unfortunate for him has the Tigers within 1 here in the bottom of the 4th.
You hear so often that baseball and so many other sports are a game of inches, and it looked like Lapham had it in his glove, was going to the ground, and then lost it. He looked devastated with his head on the grass after that one, and now Vonderhaar trying to follow up, gets a good swing on it, sends it foul the other way. But sometimes that's all you need if you're the Tigers to get something really going, a break to go your way. And we've seen this offense flood the dams plenty of times before. Maybe a little foreshadowing at a story we want to get to later in the game. Vonderhaar with a big swing at the fastball that's high. Two-two count with 2 down here in the bottom of the 4th. Brian Schaub at first. Jack Vonderhaar at the plate. Just gets a piece of that changeup to stay alive. Schaub, not only a powerful hitter, does have some speed over there at first. Had 6 stolen bases in 2021. Only caught twice, so wouldn't be surprised to see him going. We will see him going if this count gets full to 3-2. Vonderhaar takes it the other way, but will just be a lazy fly ball for Kelly to get St. John out of the inning. But the Tigers claw back into this one with 2 runs off the Brian Schaub single. We'll be back on Tiger Network as this is another good one in San Antonio. Great split screen action coming out of the break there. You could see Conti warming up as he comes out for the 5th inning, and the Tigers bullpen getting into action. Conti at 90 pitches with that last delivery. So might be running out of time before too long, but he'll try to get through the heart of the order one more time. He gets that fastball called up and away to Lapham. Remember, last half inning for the Beavers ended in a caught stealing. Conti picking off the runner at first and leaving Lapham to bat here to lead off the 5th instead of having a runner on first or second. Lapham with that 2-run single earlier that results in the 3-2 lead that Babson currently has.
Yeah, Brian, but one of the biggest reasons that Conti's pitch count has been run up so high today, already at 93, he's only completed 4 full innings, is the fact that these Babson hitters have done a really good job once he's gotten ahead in these 0-2, 1-2 counts of fighting pitches off that have been close to the zone. But for the last 2 outs that Conti recorded in the last half inning, he did a nice job pitching to contact, and after Lapham was able to fight one off, Conti comes right back with that fastball up and in, and Lapham not able to catch up to that one. So he punches out the leadoff hitter here in the top of the 5th, looking for that elusive shutdown inning that we always discuss on our broadcasts.
And he'll continue that effort with a ground ball to MJ Metz. Gets it on to Nelson at first, and 2 quick outs for Conti off of that strikeout that you talked about, Luke. Incredible to see Conti able to now hit the inside part of the plate to the left-handed hitter in Lapham. We saw him get to do it against the righty so often in the last couple of innings. So you can tell things are really working for Conti. Another sign that things are working, the radar gun. Is that first pitch to Cook fouled back. Dave Smith telling me that out of all the guys on his staff, the one pitcher that the radar gun really tells you a lot about is Sam Conti. And we got word from the pitchers behind the plate as Conti bounces off the mound to deliver to first, a 1-2-3 inning for Conti. We got word from the pitchers behind the plate who are over there with the radar gun that he has been sitting at 87 to 90, which is right where he wants to be at. That means he is fully confident and attacking, and we have seen that in the results, especially in this last half inning. So the Tigers drew closer in the last half, and they'll continue to make their way back after a quick break on Tiger Network. Matt McNaney steps to the plate and attacks that first pitch, sending it foul. St. John still at an efficient 62 pitch count here in the bottom of the 5th. First sign of trouble came last inning as he loops in the breaking ball, really the first we've seen of that. Big winding curveball. We've seen the fastball and changeup for the most part today. But St. John allowing 2 runs in the last half inning, and McNaney sending that one to right field, but ranging over for the out is Barichka.
Yeah, Brian, and a fairly well-struck ball by McNaney right there. So we'll see on the replay. Looked like that 2-seam fastball that we've seen out of St. John on the mound so far this afternoon. But we'll go back to that pitch that we saw before it, that big curveball that you're absolutely right about. Hasn't been thrown a whole lot here today, but a really nice time to break it out if you're St. John. Peterson, the bottom of this lineup, that number 9 spot, as that one bounces up and takes off the umpire's mask behind the plate. He looks like he's just fine back there, and we'll get going here quickly. Again, Peterson in the number 9 hole for the Tigers here today, but if you're St. John, about to face this Tiger order for the 3rd time, it'd be a really awesome time to have that breaking ball start working for you, something that you can mix in to keep these Tiger hitters honest and off balance, even though you've already seen him a couple times in the box.
I think you make an excellent point about that, Luke, as we get a replay of that mask coming off the umpire earlier in this at-bat. That pitch 1-2 to Peterson, well outside as he draws even now. I think especially, Luke, as the Tigers seem to get comfortable with that changeup in the last inning, it would be a good idea for St. John to come up with something else, and it's working still as he retires the Tigers 1 through 9 for the 2nd time, with Peterson striking out and unable to get to first on the ball in the dirt. So it'll be Brandon Nelson who comes to the plate for the 3rd time, and have to warn you, he might swing early. He's swung at the first pitch, his first 2 at-bats, barely given us any time to talk about him. His 2nd career start here for Trinity. His first came a week ago Sunday against Wash U. This time does lay off of that first pitch. Nelson also leading off for the first time. Someone who can play catcher and first base. But really, in there for his bat. He is impressed from the fall and into this spring training leading up to the season. And we've seen Coach Scannell unafraid to play his first years on the roster. And Nelson now connects with one, but it's right to the first baseman, Yellen. And a 1-2-3 inning for St. John will send us to the 6th inning here in San Antonio. Babson remains up front, 3-2 over Trinity. Coming back a touch early here before the top of the 6th to get back to that point we were making as Conti was just working too fast for us to get it in. A good sign for him, certainly. But we were mentioning the 2 guys you could see back there behind home, the pitchers who aren't going today, getting a look at how Conti is doing with the radar gun and telling us that he has been sitting between 87 and 90 miles per hour. And Dave Smith telling us that when he's between 87 to 93, which he has fallen into today, it means he is confident, attacking the zone, and working at his best. It is worrisome when he is in that 82 to 87 range, which means he is trying to tiptoe around the strike zone and just feel his way too much. It's what Dave Smith said he was doing in the first inning of the game against Wash U last Sunday before the trip to the mound that got him to be more confident and throw with more velocity. And we've seen much of the same story here as he is firmly cruising through this one over the last few innings.
Yeah, absolutely, Brian. A lot of times the issue that pitchers run into trying to place the baseball a little bit too precisely in or around the strike zone. What happens is, obviously they're lacking confidence. The velocity drops, and it's so difficult to throw in such a precise location that often it leaks out in a different part of the plate and winds up getting hit as Barichka leads off here with that double into the gap. So a good response for Babson after Trinity was able to bring a couple of runs across home plate. All of a sudden, Beavers with a runner on second base to start off here in the top of the sixth.
And Conti had retired 6 in a row before that double by Barichka, which you'll get another good look at here with the replay. Barichka connecting with it and getting it in between Gore and Vonderhaar out there in center and left. And he slides in safely. And that'll be it for Conti, as there is pitching coach Dave Smith taking the ball from him and handing it to the new Tiger reliever, Jack Schmidt. We'll take a quick break as Schmidt warms up and be right back to tell you more about him in a bit. First call to the bullpen on this Sunday afternoon is answered by Jack Schmidt, the junior from St. Louis, Missouri. And he loops in a breaking ball for a strike. Jackson Kelly at the plate with a runner on second base. That is Barichka, who led off this inning with a double, sending Conti to the dugout. Schmidt keeping an eye on him and then going in on Kelly, nearly hitting him with that fastball. Instead, it'll be a 1-1 count. Conti's line not quite complete since that runner is at second. But he did end up throwing 5 complete innings with 7 strikeouts and 3 runs at the moment, 2 of which are earned.
Yeah, Brian, and Schmidt comes in here, obviously with a tall task. No outs recorded to this point in the inning and inherits that runner at second base. Not the greatest of starts, if you'd ask Schmidt. Obviously would prefer to be ahead in the count here, but down 3-1. The last thing you want to do is give up a base hit. Rather allow that runner to get on. Obviously that sets yourself up for ground ball scenario in the infield. Hopefully induce a double play. All of a sudden you could have 2 outs here quickly, and Jackson Schmidt, someone that we were used to calling last year on the broadcast. We know the pitches that he throws. We've seen that fastball and that breaking ball a couple of times already, but that changeup that he throws and the amount of movement that he gets on that pitch is certainly one that could induce that ground ball and help the Tigers get out of this inning quickly.
Sensing that danger of grounding into a double play, Reynolds squaring around a bunt, but laying off that one that was away. We'll see if he continues with the sacrifice attempt. Reynolds, the 8-hole hitter, in for Kiley, and he doesn't get that one. McNaney throws behind the runner at second. And the throw just a little bit late. Looked like he had a chance to get Barichka, who was taking a massive secondary lead. You see Wisniewski sneaking in behind him. But instead, it'll be a 2-0 count. Reynolds showing bunt again, and he pops it up in front to McNaney, and he quickly gets it over to first, but Reynolds gets the job done. The runners move on over to third and second, and the Beavers with a couple of men in scoring position with just one down.
Yeah, and a good job by Schmidt right there to be able to find the strike zone. Understand that Babson is willing to give up that out right there to get runners in scoring position. If you're the Tigers, you really want to just accept that, get the first out on the board, and now face the task at hand, try and retire Reynolds right here. Perkle steps up to the plate. Jack Schmidt off to a good start right there with that breaking ball, dropping it in there for a strike to get ahead of Perkle here.
And the second time we've seen Schmidt start off a Beaver with the breaking ball for a strike. I know he's been working on that extremely hard all offseason, and then going with the fastball that's fouled away. So Schmidt getting ahead 0-2 here. Perkle, the number 9 hitter today, but leading off the past 2 days, a very capable bat here at the bottom of the lineup. Down 0-2 to Schmidt. Fastball trying to go up and in, but too close for comfort for Perkle, and he steps out, brings the count to 1-2.
Yeah, and while that pitch wasn't particularly close, it'll make Perkle really think twice about standing in there, especially on these big looping breaking balls from Schmidt. So while it probably wasn't planned to leak that far inside, could prove fruitful for the third-year Tiger arm. Attempts to strike Perkle out right here and get out of this inning without any more damage to keep the Tigers in a one-run ball game.
And he was trying to get Perkle to chase that changeup in the dirt, but nothing doing in the count. Just like that, turns full after being ahead 0-2. We'll see what Schmidt comes up with as the lineup ready to turn over to Manning. Not someone you want to face with the bases loaded, so Schmidt goes right after Perkle, and he lines it foul. And a nice pickup there by last night's starter, Harrison DeRoe, sends it back into the infield, and we'll do the 3-2 once again. We've seen a little bit of everything in this at-bat, the fastball, the changeup, and the curveball. We'll see what the call is here. McNaney setting up outside, and he gets him to swing past that changeup. There is the changeup we loved so much last year. Luke, you and I always loving that action, and comes through in a big moment here.
Yeah, Brian, absolutely right about that. What a perfect pitch, especially after Perkle was able to battle all the way back in that count after falling behind 0-2. Schmidt ultimately punches him out, does the job right there for the Tigers, comes into the game with a runner on base, able to get to that 2-out mark, but Coach Dave Smith will come out, take the baseball from him, and we'll await the new Tiger on the mound that will try and get the Tigers back into the dugout and put the bats back in the batter's box.
Absolutely, Luke. Schmidt doing his job, recording 2 outs and that big strikeout, but with the lefties coming up at the top of the order for the Beavers, the Tigers going with the lefty on the mound as well. Garrett Aylor coming in for the first time this season. He'll warm up and come into a big moment, so we'll take a quick break and be right back with you on Tiger Network. big spot right here in this ball game, top of the 6th. 2 runners on in scoring position. And Garrett Aylor in from the bullpen loops in the breaking ball for a strike. A good start to this at-bat against the red-hot Patrick Manning.
Yeah, really have to like the approach from Aylor right there. Starting off with that big looping breaking ball against, as you mentioned, red-hot Manning, who steps in, who's been willing to swing the bat, but not a whole lot you can do with that pitch to start off. But follows it up with that ball. That fastball spiked well ahead of the plate. McNaney doing the best that he can to knock that one down, but the velocity on that going to ricochet quite a ways away, and it's exactly what happens right there. And it's able, or allows for a Babson runner to cross home plate, make this a 4-2 ball game now.
And a tough break for the Tigers and Aylor, and it's something that has been an issue for him as he tries to get back into it, gets the strike on the corner. But Aylor's command sometimes what keeps him from getting on the mound. He had more walks than hits allowed last year, but then he does something like that and drops in the off-speed pitch that gets Manning to go down swinging. Babson does get that insurance run across on the wild pitch, but Aylor does his job after that and will bring the Tigers to the plate, down 2 in the bottom of the 6th. Anthony St. John back on the mound with a little bit of a bigger lead. Babson out in front, 4-2 now after getting that run on the wild pitch. But the middle of the order coming up to bat for the Tigers, and it begins with Tanner Haney, who bounces this one to the shortstop, Perkle. Long throw across the diamond will get Haney. So the leadoff man back to the dugout.
See the replay right here. Looked like the fastball. Haney just out in front of it. Rolled over the top on it. Sent that one out to Perkle. Easy play for him out at shortstop, especially in today's conditions. Saw a lot of balls in the infield. Were much tougher plays. The ground was a little bit wet. Caused some slippage from the fielders. No problem. It's a beautiful day here in San Antonio with Tiger bats struggling to get going on the day, really. MJ Metz stands in as one of only 3 Tigers to have recorded a hit to this point. St. John doing a wonderful job working through 5 1/3 to this point and keeping this Tiger lineup in check after they posted a 12 spot in yesterday's game.
And not only keeping them in check, as the 2-0 changeup is swung on and missed. One of the reasons you see he's just kept the Tigers off balance, throwing that changeup in any count, really, and getting Mets to swing early on that one and not connect. But St. John really doing what head coach Matt Noon was wanting him to, is a nice piece of hitting, but right to Perkle goes that hard hit ball. So 2 quick outs here in the bottom of the 6th. Coach Noon telling me that he really wanted his starter to give his defense a chance to work. Felt like yesterday they were outstanding a long time with the walks and even the strikeouts. That's a good result, but it does keep your defense still not moving around. But today, St. John, with just the 2 strikeouts, 1 walk, and 3 hits allowed before this Ezra Gore grounder to the line, and he is able to swim into second base safely. And you see his excitement. Gore forcing the issue there. A good throw from the left fielder, Kelly. But Gore athletic enough to move his arms around the tag and give the Tigers some life here in the bottom of the 6th.
Yeah, and a nice effort by Santos, outstretched over there at third base. We talked earlier in the broadcast about Kelly being a defensive replacement in left field. MJ Metz able to stretch his hit previously in the game into a double. Kelly, much better job on that one, getting around the baseball. Got it in quickly, but not the most accurate throw into second base. Allowed Gore to slide in on the outside part of the bag safely.
But it's something these Tigers have practiced, is taking that extra base. St. John with the delivery to Wisniewski. Pops it up the other way. Will it stay in play? It will, and it will be caught over there by the third baseman to retire the side. Looked like that one might get out of play, but Santos was able to look into the bright sky and catch the pop fly, so the runner in scoring position is stranded by the Tigers. We are headed to the 7th inning here in San Antonio. Beavers ahead 4-2. Aylor back on the mound, facing yet another left-handed hitter in Santos, who made the last out of the last half inning in foul territory to help his pitcher leave the runner at second base and keep the score right where it is, with the Beavers ahead 4-2. But that breaking ball once again looping in there for a strike. Aylor has done a fantastic job since coming in last half, getting ahead with the breaking ball. It was just that wild pitch that got away from him that resulted in the run, but other than that, it has looked good, and it continues to look good as he gets Santos down looking with that fastball on the outside corner, 1 away.
Yeah, and a great job by Aylor to start this inning right here. Really important that he keeps it right where it's at. This 2-run deficit for the Tigers. They have 9 outs to work with yet on the offensive side of the ball as he attempts to drop that breaking ball in there. The umpire says it misses just inside, but that one, a really nice pitch from Aylor, who's settling in nicely here.
Really would have thought he earned the benefit of the doubt with how he's come out, dotting that breaking ball in the strike zone. But after that close one called against him, Aylor getting behind 2-0 to Lapham. Now Lapham chops it to first. Nelson awaits it and gets it to first himself. A close play at the bag with Lapham hustling, but he does get the second out of the inning. So 2 up, 2 down for Aylor with the cleanup hitter coming to bat.
See the replay of that last pitch right here. It looked like Santos in that one thought he was going to get a really nice fastball to hit in the middle of the plate, but it looks like that one just continued to run glove side for Ayler. Ran a little bit further away from him than it thought it was ultimately going to, and all of a sudden Ayler has all 3 outs here in the top of the 7th inning. Nice quick work from the Tiger left-hander. It'll get the Trinity bats back out to the plate when we come back in the bottom of the 7th inning.
Couldn't have asked for a better half inning from Ayler. Take some time to stretch because we are in for a good finish here in San Antonio, and we'll have it for you on Tiger Network. Time for the bottom of the 7th, and the starting pitcher for the Babson Beavers remains out there. Anthony St. John has kept this lineup quiet. His first career appearance in a Babson uniform in this his junior year. And he has really quieted a lineup that, as we've said, has averaged nearly 10 runs a game back last season, and they've put up their fair share of runs, including 12 yesterday.
Schaub steps into the plate to get things going for the Tigers here in the bottom of the 7th. Another one of the 3 Trinity players to have recorded a hit so far on the day. Hopefully he can get a second, become the first Tiger to do so. But it's going to be really important that the players behind him in this lineup step up. The 7, 8, 9 hitters haven't combined to record any hits today, but Vonderhaar will step to the plate now, hoping to break that streak. He'll step in with a .235 average on the year, Brian, but that might not be reflective of the way he swung the bat to this point, especially after a couple of swings that we saw out of him in the first game of this series on Friday night.
Yeah, he is hitting the ball hard and quite capable of tying this game up with one swing of the bat. And a little hit and run action, and it will go exactly against the Tigers. Perkle in the perfect spot, covering second with Schaub taking off on that delivery. And Vonderhaar's ground ball right to him will end up in the twin killing. Terrible break for the Tigers here.
Yeah, just an awful break, as you mentioned. That one really hard hit and smooth along the ground. Looked like it kicked up off that mound, and it hung up in the air for Perkle to just catch it at second base. Certainly made that a much easier play for him. You have to think with Schaub moving.
This is Nick Lazera, number 15. Looks like he changed jersey numbers.
He might be able to get in there on time if there was going to be some sort of exchange between Perkle and Lapham at second base. And if that had been the case, maybe even Vonderhaar would have been safe over at first. But instead, both Tigers out here to start the bottom in the 7th inning, just as soon as you expected they might have something going, trying to get back into this one.
And now after the exciting start to the inning, there's 2 down, nobody on, and a pinch hitter at the plate. Nick Lazera coming in for the starting catcher, Matt McNaney. And he gets one up in the zone, but he gets under it and sends it into shallow center, and diving in to make the catch is Manning. He went a long way to make that catch. Looked like it might drop in there in between Perkle and Manning. You'll get a good look at the replay. But Manning calling things off and getting the third out of the inning. So the Tigers go down quietly once again. We're headed to the top of the 8th. Babson remains ahead, 4-2. Running out of time here in San Antonio, top of the 8th, and it remains a close one as the Beavers took game 1 here in San Antonio. Tigers coming back to take game 2 and leaving us with this rubber match in game 3. Luke, I know you and I, both lifelong baseball fans, not sure if you know what the term rubber match means. I know I didn't, even though I've used it and I've always heard it watching baseball games. Never quite familiar with the term. Did you have any idea what it meant coming into today?
Oh, absolutely not, Brian. You know, I thought about it. I knew coming into today that it was a rubber match, but I was honestly hoping that you would have some sort of story for me and everyone on the broadcast today. So I'm going to let you take it away because I know with that lead in that you absolutely do have the story that's going to shed some knowledge for us.
I may have done some quick research ahead of today's rubber match, as Ayler has an even count here, 2-2 on the leadoff hitter Cook. That one grounded. Ayler trying to range and make an athletic play, but just unable to get it out of his hands, and you see a smile out of him. Probably best that he didn't throw it, and now actually looks like that will be called a foul ball, so must have hit Cook in the batter's box. We'll take a good look right here. And it is, in fact, off his foot, so smart of Ayler not to throw it away.
Yeah, but a bit peculiar to see Cook take off as quickly out of the box as he did on that play.
You never know. Probably better to be safe than sorry in this big rubber match between Babson and Trinity. So, according to sports historians, they believe the term rubber match refers to 16th century English lawn bowling, a game that is similar to bocce ball, as Cook goes down to get this one, and Vonderhaar, unable to see it in the sun and drops it, tries to get it into second in time, but it will not be there. The sun continues to be an issue here. Vonderhaar right from the start, shielding his eyes, and really didn't have a chance. So a lead-off opportunity ends up at second, and the Beavers will have a runner at second. Coming to the plate is Burichka. But about that lawn bowling history, as Burichka looks at a first pitch strike. It's a game in which players are trying to get balls closest to a white ball that is laying in the middle of an open field. And the reason for the term rubber match is when a ball is hit that then connects with that white ball and rubs against it, the game is over. So hence the term rubber match, signifying the end of a series. and the end of a series that results in a clear winner. So with Trinity taking one yesterday, Babson taking the game on Friday, today's game is the rubber match to see who will take the series. So very interesting to look into why that term has made its way into baseball. As Ayler still ahead 1-2, that last one a little bit low as he tries to get Barichka with the runner on second.
Well, Brian, I have to thank you for that little bit of a history lesson. Certainly an aspect of these broadcasts that I'm always looking forward to as Barichka puts that one on the ground towards the right side, but that one will end up foul. Cook will return to second. We'll have another go with this 1-2 count. You see right here. Fielded cleanly on the right side by Nelson, but in foul territory. Knowing you, Brian, I'm sure we're probably not done in this series with some knowledge that will be shed in regards to the history of the game or one of these two teams.
Little foreshadowing there on your part. I don't think we can let viewers go from this 3-game series without letting them know why Babson is the Beavers. But we'll wait a little bit. Maybe give us your guesses in the YouTube chat. We've seen it active this weekend. See if you can take a guess at why the Beavers have been the chosen mascot for Babson College. We'll let you know in the top of the 9th. But here we are in the top of the 8th with a very close game on hand. Barichka, nothing new with a tough battle at the plate. Even count now. And the breaking ball sent to the Tigers' dugout. Keeping them up and awake here, making sure they're paying attention, though I'm sure they are, as they are all there on the railing, on the edge of their seats here, as we have been all weekend long with these close games between the Beavers and the Tigers. Ayler gets that one in the dirt, and Barichka unable to get a piece of it. Strikeout number 3 for the big left-handed pitcher.
Yeah, we'll see the replay of it right here. Good final pitch to get the K from Ayler right there after Barichka battled in that at-bat. Saw Cook over there at second base, bouncing back and forth. Had a really nice pitch to run on right there, but ultimately stayed at home. But a good job by Ayler to respond after that tough ball that was hit to the outfield was ultimately dropped and allowed Cook to advance to second base without any outs.
And equally as important as you're saying is we've seen the Beavers take advantage of the bunt opportunities to move those runners over, but trusting Barichka to move them over on his own, swinging away. But the strikeout keeps the runner there at second. So Kelly will have to try to bring him home or move him over. He is 0 for 2 today, and he swings over the top of that ball in the dirt. A nice job by Lazera to keep it in front of him. Kelly 0 for 2 on the day, getting his first start of the season for the Beavers. Came into pinch hit last night.
Kelly will step out here as he awaits Ayler's 1-1 offering, but we'd like to highlight some other action going on in the Tiger Athletic Department. This Ayler's 1-2 offering misses low right there to draw the count even at 2-2. Ton of other action occurring on and around campus here this weekend. NCAA diving regionals taking place on Friday and concluding yesterday, but men's and women's basketball teams also playing as Ayler able to drop that curveball in there. Looks like the count that you see on your screen had to have been wrong. So Kelly will be able to step back in here, assuming that it's right now at 2-2, thinking that Ayler already had recorded a strike in that at-bat.
I think it may have also just been the fact that Lazera dropped the ball, actually didn't call that one a strike, and evened up the count at the time, now 3-2, says the home plate umpire.
Yeah, I think you're probably right about that, Brian, but just hard to comprehend how that one doesn't go in the books as a strike call really right down the middle, forcing Ayler to throw more pitches here, but continues to battle and be competitive right around the zone, and these Beaver hitters continue their trend of fighting and battling pitches off as that one's fouled out of play on the right side.
So the 3-2 on its way here as Luke will continue his trip around the country the Tigers are experiencing.
Thank you, Brian. Turn to the basketball teams that are in action, both playing in the conference tournament up in Sherman, Texas this weekend. Both got wins yesterday in their semifinal actions. As that offering grounded to the left side, Metz will come up with a really tough play, attempted to barehand that one. There was not really anything else he could do about it, but unable to come up with it. Kelly ultimately reaches base. We'll see the replay right here. Really soft hit, ground ball to left side. Metz having to charge in. Not sure he would have had a throw. Would have been an incredibly difficult one either way. So unfortunate for the Tigers. A couple of tough defensive plays here in the top of the 8th inning. Have Beavers at the corners, but one out. Just a pitch away of getting out of this inning and bringing the bats back to the plate. But as I've been interrupted so many times already in this game, I'll return to basketball teams that both won their semifinal games yesterday. The men's championship game in Sherman taking place as we call this one here. That action currently at halftime. Tigers trail by 16, but things look to get back into better shape for them in the second half after they just shot 30% in the first period as compared to a mark much closer to 50% for their opponents from St. Thomas. The women's championship game will take place later this afternoon. We'll keep you up to date on the other action. Right there, Lazera blocks that ball in the dirt, but Beaver on the base paths able to advance. That will be Kelly at second base now. Cook remains at third. That'll take away the double play opportunity out of the infield, but Ayler now behind in this count 3-0 to Reynolds.
And a big opportunity for the Beavers to really expand their lead late in the game. That one going to be called for a strike on the inner part of the plate. Luke, thank you for those timely updates on our basketball team. So excited at both of those teams that have done so well throughout the year, being rewarded with their efforts, earning those trips to the conference championship games. As Ayler steps off here, taking the time to take in this big moment. Runners on second and third, Cook and Kelly. And it is the catcher Reynolds at the plate who looks at that off-speed delivery from Ayler that gets in there for a strike. So Ayler battling back from down 3-0 to drive the count full. Would love a strikeout here. As the runner is likely going on contact. We can see the corners in, and now the middle infielders joining them just ahead of that pitch, and Ayler gets him to swing and miss at that delivery. Big-time strikeout for Ayler. 2 out now in the 8th, just one more to go.
Yeah, and Ayler obviously fired up after that pitch. Hops back on the mound quickly, looking to continue with this momentum that he's got going. Really helping himself out after a couple of tough defensive plays with that strikeout. Just 1 out away now, getting this defense back into the dugout.
And he tries to start it off once again with that breaking ball. This time it's high and outside. So Perkle ahead 1-0. Had his first base hit of the season earlier this afternoon and trying to come up in a clutch spot. Thought we would have a strike call there. Instead, 2-0. Some of these pitchers battling with that strike zone. And that time not going in the favor of the Tigers, so Perkle in the driver's seat. And he stares at that one that's low and away, taking the count to 3-0. And with the leadoff hitter Manning awaiting on deck, will be interesting to see how aggressive Ayler is with Perkle. And he continues to be careful with it. And it results in a 4-pitch walk for the number 9 hitter. And it'll bring up the left-handed hitting Manning, who we talked about at the very beginning of the game today, went 4 for 5 yesterday with a career-high 5 runs batted in, including that launch of a home run, 3-run home run in the 9th inning. And that power is enough to send Dave Smith out to the mound to collect the ball from Ayler and bring in the new pitcher for the Tigers. Looks like it'll be Jack Martinez making the appearance today. Quite a spot to make your college debut, if you ask me, Luke.
Yeah, absolutely. Certainly a high-pressure situation right here, but it's something that we saw yesterday. Second Tiger pitcher into the game in Game 2 of the series was Zachary Garza, who returned to the bump after missing his freshman campaign after undergoing Tommy John surgery. So Martinez will come on now in a similarly high-pressure scenario, but only one out to record. He'll have the opportunity to work from the stretch right here and hopefully keep this one close at just a 2-run deficit.
And Martinez, the first year from Corpus Christi, Texas. He stands tall from the right side of the mound at 6'4", 185. He is a hard thrower who has a competitive drive that Tim Scannell loves. And you can tell how much they trust him to come in to make his debut with the bases loaded, 2 outs in the top of the 8th in this Game 3 between Babson and Trinity. Babson had recorded 3 consecutive victories over the Tigers going back to 2020 when the Beavers took 2 of 3 here in San Antonio. The Tigers snapping that streak with their 12-11 victory last night. But it is no surprise to see a tight game between these two. The Tigers ranked 15th in the nation according to D3Baseball.com. And Babson receiving votes as well. And if you've been watching all weekend, you can see why. This is a talented team that came down from Wellesley, Massachusetts, ready to play. And they have given the Tigers everything they could have hoped for. So now Manning up at the plate. First pitch from Martinez. An off-speed delivery that touches the inside part of the plate for strike 1.
Got a great first pitch right there. Important, really, right here to get ahead early on, especially when you're fresh into a game in a situation like this where you have the bases loaded. Come right back, second pitch, another competitive one, jump ahead 0-2. Now at this point, don't want to have anything too centralized over the heart of the plate, but want to make Manning swing the bat if possible, see what other offerings Tiger has in his debut on the mound.
And he has an offering that is up in the zone and gets Manning to swing through it. A fantastic first batter for Martinez, and you see the Tigers dugout is fired up. They are all on their feet and out of the dugout. What a moment for the first year. We'll get a replay. He went high, and he got Manning, who has been the best hitter on the weekend for the Beavers, to swing past it.
We'll stay right here as we watch what looks to be a new Beaver pitcher on the mound. Coming into the game now is number 33, Truman DeVitt, a graduate stands in at 6'2", 170. We'll check his statistics in a Babson uniform previously. He replaces what was an incredible performance earlier on in the day. We'll see that pitch right there. Had Manning just go around. Obviously, that elevated fastball, an incredibly difficult pitch to lay off of, especially when you're already trailing in the count. But I think it's something that we've seen Tiger pitchers go to repeatedly so far in this series and have a ton of success with.
Luke, like you said, just wanting to get even a third look at that great pitch from Martinez. You see how he came off the mound fist pumping, and then you see Nelson right there at the end jumping over the mound. We'll see if that is the spark of energy that these Tigers need to come back in this ball game. Jack Peterson will try to lead off the inning in a positive way, but he swings past that one. Luke, you were talking about the new pitcher that is in for the Beavers, Truman Devitt, who tries to get in a changeup there, but it's away. So he falls behind 2-1. Devitt, like you mentioned, the graduate student transferring from Muhlenberg College. So another new name for the Beavers. But it wraps up what was really a great day for the starter, Anthony St. John, as Peterson skies this one out to shallow left field. It is Perkle who takes command and grabs the first out of that inning for the Beavers. The starter, St. John, going 7 innings, allowing just 2 runs on 4 hits, and had 2 walks and 2 strikeouts along the way. Just what the Beavers needed. Head coach Matt Noon told me before the game what he wanted most is someone to let his bullpen breathe a little bit and someone he wanted to let his defense work, and he certainly got that out of Anthony St. John. And it'll be up to Devitt to keep it going. He faces the top of the lineup in Nelson, who sends that one for the 3rd time today to the second baseman, Lapham. And Devitt quickly out of the bullpen with 2 outs in the bottom of the 8th.
Yeah, Brian Devitt doing a nice job working by coming in and throwing a lot of strikes immediately. Did a nice job in that last at-bat against Peterson after falling behind 3-1, making a competitive pitch and fooling Peterson a little bit. Figure that when you get ahead and count like that, you're going to have a fastball over the heart of the plate, but Peterson wasn't able to do exactly what he wanted to with that one. Nelson follows it up with that ground ball on the right side of the infield, something that we've seen out of him a couple of times already here today, and suddenly the Tigers are down to their final 4 outs on the afternoon.
And after landing a breaking ball for a strike, Devitt comes back with a changeup that fools Haney, gets him ahead 1-2 on the Tigers' second baseman, who is 0 for 3 on the day, lines it too short. Perkle goes to his right with the long throw, and it is right on target. And he high-fives his third baseman, Santos, and he himself is fired up as he heads into the dugout. The replay right here, Haney for the 2nd time today, hitting the ball hard, but right to a Beaver. And we head to the top of the 9th. Babson up by 2 in the final frame of this one in San Antonio. After the perfect start to his collegiate career, Jack Martinez is back on the mound and firing one past Santos there. He got the big-time strikeout with the bases loaded to keep the score right where it is, and he'll try to do that once more and bring the Tigers to bat in the bottom half of the ninth, as that one misses a little bit low. We've been teasing the reveal of why the Beavers hail from Babson, and taking a look at some of these comments in the YouTube channel. Looks like some of you did your homework. You Beaver fans know why you are Beavers. As Martinez dots that one on the inside corner, it is in fact because Roger Babson, the founder of Babson College, attended MIT, the Massachusetts Institute of Technology, and their mascot is also the beaver. But it goes beyond that. I know you're on the edge of your seat learning about these beavers. The reason MIT is called the Beavers is because they are the most industrious, engineer-like animal of the animal kingdom, as Santos is rung up there. Strike number 3 from Martinez. 2 quick strikeouts for the first year. And he gets the beaver down looking. Beavers known for building dams in rivers. They can build those majestic structures, and Babson and MIT found it fitting that engineers that attend their school should be called the Beavers, after the mammal that can so well build their own structures. So there you have it, the Beavers of Babson.
Thank you for that, Brian. What an incredible, interesting story. You never fail to amaze me with what you bring up on this broadcast, especially because it's always relevant. Always fun, but always find a way to relate it back to the things that are going on. As we mentioned earlier when we were talking about the family ties that are present in this game, so interesting to see all the different things and the histories that surround the teams that come in to visit when they play here in San Antonio.
It's amazing what can happen when you just ask a few questions. There are so many great stories to tell on both sides. Trinity, so many fantastic stories on this big roster, and we are lucky to have teams from all over the country coming to play here, and it only seems fitting that we look into those opponents and see what they're bringing to San Antonio to make it as enjoyable an experience for viewers at home as possible. So I'm glad you enjoyed that Beaver story. I do think if you were to ask anybody if they would take a beaver or a tiger out in nature, I think the tiger would win out on that one, even if the beaver can build on those dams. So we'll have to see if that comes true in the ninth, as Martinez gets Yellen to just muscle that one into center field, just like Brian Schaub did earlier. It falls in for a base hit. So Yellen keeps things alive for the Beavers.
You see that pitch from Martinez right there. Looked to have a little bit of movement, got back inside on the hands of Yellen, and maybe helped him out a little bit right there, as Speedy Gore wasn't able to make his way in on that one to record an out. So top of the ninth inning will continue here for the Babson Beavers. But Martinez able to pump a strike in right there to start off Cook. Looking to send this one to the bottom of the ninth and bring up the heart of the Tiger order as they look to get back into this one.
Cook is all that stands in the way of that, and he looks in at a strike that's on the outside corner. He takes a look back at the umpire, wondering where exactly that was, but it finds him down 0-2 with 2 outs here in the ninth. Lazera asking for it high, and Martinez hits him there, but Cook able to foul it back. So we'll do the 0-2 once more after Martinez gets settled on the mound. Tall righty readies his delivery, and he gets it where he wants it. Cook able to hold up on his swing, however. We've seen a couple of those go the way of the Tigers, but that time able to hold up.
A really nice pitch that looks like it starts down and away, maybe just started on the inside part of that zone, but finishes well outside of it as that one sent down the left field line. It looks like it stayed in the air and was more than likely corralled over there by MJ Metz, who will send the Tigers into the dugout.
Yeah, Martin is doing a nice job not letting that 2-out base hit get to him. He forces the ground ball that Metz did gather and get on over to first for the 3rd out of the inning. So it all comes down to this, the rubber match in San Antonio. Babson on top 4-2. We'll see if the Tigers can come back after this quick break. You had a great shot right there of the Tigers that are waiting to pounce on the new pitcher for the Beavers. MJ Metz will be first up and followed by Ezra Gore, and they will work to try to get something off of the new pitcher, Stephen McClendon, the junior from Nashua, New Hampshire, who came in on Friday night in almost the exact same situation, up by 1, and he got 3 strikeouts, striking out the side, and all of them looking. And last year, continued that domination, not giving up a run in 5 appearances. So McClendon, one of the most trustworthy Beavers out of the bullpen, but he'll have to go through the most dangerous bats of the Tigers here.
Yeah, absolutely right there, Brian, about the fact that McClendon came in on Friday night, had a 1-run lead that was handed to him by his Beaver teammates, and was able to get 3 strikeouts in the inning, but didn't have the best of times with MJ Metz, who stepped into the box and nearly tied it with one of those doubles off the right field wall. That's exactly who he'll have to face to start this one. Metz obviously a ton of pop in that bat, but important here just to put someone on base. Hopefully, afterwards, Ezra Gore will be able to step in and trade places with him if they can get something go to tie this one up here in the bottom of the 9th.
Absolutely, and something we did see on Friday night as well is how quickly McClendon likes to work. He followed up the starter, Tristan Spalter, with that. Both of them ready to go right away, and he tries to loop that one in there, but it slides outside for a ball, so MJ up 2-1. McClendon, the second arm out of this Beaver bullpen to replace starter Anthony St. John. And his 2-1 delivery is flied out to shallow center field. The shortstop Perkle back, and he'll secure that for the first out of the inning. If you take a look at the box score from yesterday's Trinity win, you might look at the 12 runs and think that the Beaver pitching staff had a really hard time, and while they did early on, it really wasn't the bullpen. Starter Tim Noon gave up 8 runs before recording an out, but then the Beaver bullpen came in and pitched 8 full innings, only allowing 4 runs as Gore swings at the first pitch, sends it out to right field, but in the arms of Barichka for the second out of the inning. So this Beaver bullpen continues to do a good job. And this pitching performance, more of what we're used to from the Beavers, as last year they had a team ERA of just over 3. They led the entire nation in walks per 9 innings. They really don't beat themselves. And they only allowed 10 runs one time last year. So the 12 runs that the Tigers scored yesterday, not something the Beavers are familiar with. And it'll all come down to this final batter for the Tigers, Jack Wisniewski, trying to keep things alive and pass the baton. He looks at the first pitch from McClendon in there for a strike. McClendon's delivery drops in there for strike number 2, and you can see the Babson faithful behind home who traveled from Wellesley, Massachusetts to support their team their opening weekend. And they are one strike away from taking the series here in San Antonio. Wisniewski awaits, and he fouls that one back.
Yeah, Brian, good job by McClendon right here to get way ahead in this count 0-2. But if there's any Tiger in this lineup that's going to fight, Wisniewski is going to be probably who you'd want at the plate to do so. So willing to use the entire field as he sees this offering right here.
And he chops it to short, and a bobble there by the shortstop, Perkle. But he'll be called out at first. What a close play here to end the game. You see Wisniewski grounds it to the shortstop, hustling it out all the way, and gosh, quite the close call there. Wisniewski, you see the look on his face. He thought he beat it. We'll try to get as good a look at that one as possible. Oh, and it certainly does look like Wisniewski beat it. I know these umpires don't have the incredible instant replay that Tiger Network does, but a tough break for the Tigers and Wisniewski, as that could have stayed alive here in the 9th inning.
Yeah, Brian, and even tougher to swallow considering the fact that you had Brian Schaub stepping up to the plate after Wisniewski, someone that we've already mentioned in this broadcast, would have had the capability to tie this ball game in just one swing. But as you mentioned, those umpires out in the field don't have the same luxury of viewing the replays that we do. Very close play, bang, bang, and understandable if that one goes either way. Just unfortunate way to end the weekend here for the Tigers, but it does grant the series victory to the Beavers.
So the Beavers get the rubber match in their favor, taking 2 out of 3 for the second consecutive occurrence here, as they did the same in 2020. The Beavers coming into San Antonio, defeating the number 15 Trinity Tigers, and it was thanks to some clutch 2-out hitting very early on in the game. Thomas Lapham with the 2 RBI single up the middle with 2 outs at the time in the second inning ends up being the difference. They had a wild pitch that resulted in a run to add that insurance, but they didn't need it as they kept Trinity to just 2 runs. Those came thanks to a Brian Schaub single out to shallow right field that Lapham was unable to grab, but it was not enough for these Tigers to come back. But it's been a fantastic weekend of baseball from start to finish here, Luke.
Yeah, and unfortunate that it didn't end up going the Tigers' way in regards to the series victory. But if this is any indication of the baseball that we're going to see played here in San Antonio this season, then we'll be in for such a great year. Incredibly exciting action to start the campaign here in San Antonio. For the Tigers, we saw some things that were reminiscent of last year from this pitching staff. Not the most consistent play, but some real bright performances out of most of the arms that we saw either way. Garrett Ayler came into the game today and looked good, but specifically Sammy Conti really figured things out as he settled into the game. We saw that pitch count climb up there a little bit, but as he moves forward into the year, hoping for him to have that type of success and consistency early in games, allowing himself to get some run support from the Tiger bats, and I think that this will be an incredibly fun and successful team to watch as the season continues.
Absolutely. You have to think that with the pitching being where it is, the bats will come around eventually. This is an offense that ranked 13 in Division III in runs per game, so you know the runs are there. They just have to start producing them. But they've had some tough opponents to start the year. They went on the road to Birmingham to face 3 quality teams and then come back home and lose to the Beavers 2 out of 3. So the Tigers' record now stands at 3-3. Babson will get out of here at 2-1. The Beavers will head back to Massachusetts to play Brandeis up in Northborough before taking a trip down to Florida where they will play several games down there in Port Charlotte. And meanwhile, you see the Trinity Tigers have some really quality opponents coming up beginning this Thursday against Wisconsin Whitewater. And if you are unaware, Whitewater ranked 6th according to D3 Baseball, so it will be a tough test for these Tigers, and they will head into spring break with another non-conference game against DeSales before starting conference play against the Southwestern Pirates. We cannot wait to bring you every second of the action. It has been an incredible weekend here in San Antonio. For everyone in the control room and out there handling the cameras, allowing us to bring you such quality action, including a great replay of that decisive final play. For Luke Terry and Brian Yanselson, have a wonderful Sunday, and we can't wait to see you later this week.